Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
The first event at Silverstone introduced our competitors to one another and had them face off on a rather familiar circuit. But tonight will be at a track that's used on iRacing far less. This may be the first time for many of the drivers to give a go at Barber Motorsports Park. On top of that, it's a whole lot more technical. Let's see who can switch gears as we get ready to watch Event 2 of Series 7 in the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty Motorsports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark. Taylor Burris and Rachel Whiteford are reporting from pit lane. And up in the producer's booth, we have Ryan Bauer, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. As always, the PCA Sim Racing Series is brought to you by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Hagerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Hagerty, the shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Hagerty, let's drive together. Well, DJ, as I mentioned, this one doesn't get seen quite as much on many of iRacing's schedules, but why don't you introduce our viewers to this place?
Well, for those who are unfamiliar with Barber Motorsports Park, it's important to keep in mind that it was originally designed as a motorbike circuit, and as a result, passing is severely limited here for these four-wheel machines. Really, the best area you're going to see is going down into Turn 5. That's Charlotte's Web, the run out of the Alabama roller coaster, crucial to get that right. Outside of that, despite the fact that it looks like there may be a few passing zones, they're really, really not, and drivers are going to have to be careful because, as you said, Joe, this track will be a technical challenge for them. The dive down through 7, 8, and 9 Museum Corner is always tricky, and in these GT cars, it's very easy to pick up a little bit of damage if you come through there too fast and hit the splitter. You've also got to be careful of the curbs coming up through 10 and 11. You've really got to ride over those curbs to maximize a fast lap, but getting it wrong at high speed can spell disaster. So I think really and truly the best way around here today may not be going for the overtake, but instead putting pressure to the driver in front of you and trying to force them into a mistake.
Absolutely, and right now we are in the midst of qualifying here for the Challenge Series, and the Challenge class, rather. Glad to see plenty of the drivers have worked their way out onto the course. They get 2 laps, though, and many of them have already taken their first. It was Trip Starkey on provisional pole, but Scott Rogers has backed up his practice pace by stealing that away by less than a tenth of a second. And of course, we have a championship from last season with Drew Kenny up at the top of that. And Trip Starkey is currently in second with Ankerberg Zone in third, as you would expect, as they finished in that first round. So cycling on down, things stay close because, well, they're pretty much as they finished in the first one. This is going to be a lot more telling after this round. And looks like we have just finished the qualifying, which takes us over to our pit reporter team. And out here today, as we mentioned, Rachel, it is a drastically different circuit from what we saw last time out, with a lot of elevation change and a lot of slower corners. How do you think that's going to change how the drivers attack this place?
Well, I think the narrowness is going to be the biggest factor in today's race. This track is a lot more confined than it looks, even from the camera angles you'll see here. Barber Motorsports Park, as mentioned, was meant for motorcycles. In fact, there is probably the best motorcycle museum in the world located right here at the track. Now, the real challenges here are, like mentioned earlier, putting pressure on the other drivers. It's also staying together because the first complex can be really tricky, and whilst one section may be called Charlotte's Web, well, let's just avoid the fangs at the other corners.
Yeah, and Charlotte's Web certainly does bite plenty of times. I've seen so many drivers go too hot into theirs. We've got Frederick Chin currently on our screens. He is actually already completed both of his laps, so he is just basically getting some practice in. And Scott Kessel here, a little bit farther down, is on his second flyer right now. Now, Taylor, we've seen how the drivers have fared against one another over at Silverstone. Here, now that they're used to going head-to-head against one another, do you think that'll help the side-by-side racing?
It certainly will, but of course, since we're here at Barber Motorsports Park, this is something that we also have to consider. Since the inception of the PCA Sim Racing Series, that includes all the series, all the team racing events, all the zone group challenge events that the PCA has come together to do, they have never officially raced here at this circuit. So this opens the door for a lot of competitors in each of these classes that we'll be seeing throughout the week to see who will come out on top. We have a couple of drivers later on in other series that have actually home track advantage in the Alabama region, but for the most part, it's a new opportunity for a lot of drivers to see what they can showcase as we are battling it out here at Barber.
On board, coming up and over the crest of 13 there. Kessel's looked like he's kept it within bounds. Let's see if he can finish it up clean as well through the last couple right and left out of 15 and into 16. Downhill sweeper onto the main straight. What has he got underneath him? Will this one go on the board? Because the first one did not. A 25-4, and that will put him into 20th place. So the 48 will get solidly into the mid-pack. He's the last of our drivers able to set a time. Everybody else is done here in the qualifying. You know, the one thing that's going to be fascinating to watch as well here, DJ, is we're used to seeing IndyCar race here, and those are very high downforce cars, very aero-dependent, whereas these GT3 cars, not quite so much. I wonder if that'll help maybe get a little bit more side-by-side battles.
I certainly think it could, Joe, specifically looking at the run into the Alabama roller coaster, that first sequence of corners. One of the reasons in those Indy cars that we don't see as many passes into that corner is because turn one, the left-handed sweeper, if you're following behind another car, you have to back out of it because of the aero wash. In these GT3s, as you said, not as much downforce generated, not as much aero wash off of the back. And so that might just mean that we can see a couple of dives going down into turn two. But still, the one thing that this track does have working against it in terms of those overtakes is getting offline around here is very, very tough. Even with the high amounts of mechanical grip that these cars do have, you get offline, you run a separate line, and you're going to find yourself in a whole world of trouble.
Yeah, it's so easy to slip off into the grass, and it's going to be slippery. There are barriers that you can run into, as we see the Kansas City driver here coming down into the line. And again, this is just practice at this point, even though we are still in the qualifying session. Pippin is just getting some extra time in, as sitting 16th on the grid. And it looks like we have a grid ready to go here for the PCA Challenge. And of course, it's brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. With each new version of the Z1 Dashboard software, it gets better and more feature-rich, and version 2021.3 is no exception. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom dashboards for use with the Z1 Dashboard. So in addition to the almost 200 standard car dashes, track maps, standings, and specialty displays, you can add your own custom designs, placing the data you want exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of the engineering and strategy for you. Where is your competition? When should you pit? How much fuel do you need? Who is in front or behind you? How is the weather? Are you gaining or losing to the other drivers? Make sure you are maximizing your on-track performance with the Z1 dashboard. Using the Z1 dashboard to examine your laps is an essential tool to becoming a faster driver. Find out more and visit z1dashboard.com. Drivers now head out for some warm-up, getting the last little bit of practice that they'll probably want to need around, and love seeing these onboards as we watch with Craig Sutter here. And he's giving us some views of another one of our VR users. Unfortunately, the only one we've got today here in the challenge class. So he'll be a bit lonely in that respect, but hopefully we'll get some more screen time on that. And Rachel, one of the things that I do like about this place, and I don't know how official it is, but I've heard word that they tried to build it in the vein of British racing tracks, especially a lot of the club tracks, which tend to have quite a bit of elevation change and are pretty twisty. And that measure, I think they succeeded.
Yeah, you're right. And when it was originally designed by Alan Wilson, it was meant to be an homage almost. It was something that was meant to be visible from the Motorsport Museum, which was here first, actually. And Barber's always had this ethos of trying to be the best it can be and try and actually run things a bit more like a British club track. And I think they've succeeded. They have a lot of reputation for being one of the nicest facilities to visit, and the whole track really is well clipped.
Yeah, it looks fantastic out here. We're watching from McCune's perspective. See just how much elevation change there is coming down on the front stretch, and the track's going to drop away once again. Can cause some perilous first laps down into that corner as everybody's still packed up together and trying to go at it again. And then it comes back around through the Alabama roller coaster, up and over 4, which of course kind of became a bit notorious this year for IndyCar with its huge wreck with poor Joseph Newgarden not starting off his season in the right way. Taylor, we've got a few drivers, you said, from Alabama. And who's our most likely, you think, from that club to potentially maybe get a home course win?
That's going to be a tough one indeed. We're still waiting on to see about what the driver is going to be from the Alabama region. They're going to be in a little bit of a later pro class, or actually one of the later classes throughout the week. Tonight, there is no Alabama drivers in the challenge class for tonight, but there is a couple of drivers who are a little bit close to home, especially towards those up towards the panhandle of the Florida region, that are going to be exciting to watch throughout the competition. But the drivers that you're going to have to watch inside after qualifying, you have Trip Starkey, of course, who's starting in second place. I always had a strong competitive season last season and looking forward to seeing if he can improve on that. And then Drew Kenny, another strong competitor who's always consistently running inside the top 5 after those long runs. Keep an eye on that number 9 as well.
Here we see Starkey coming around and heading into the blind museum corner now, plunging down the hill. Yeah, we have to remember that we have 2 races here today. First one that we're covering up in a few minutes is the challenge class, and then the sport class will be up next in a few moments. So once this race is over, please don't go away, because we'll be continuing on with the show and head on over to yet another bit of action here for another 45 minutes after this event. DJ, we had a lot of fun last round. Did you take anything from it that you feel like drivers should have taken notes on and really need to focus on today?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just that clean, consistent driving is what wins the day here. We saw that across the series, that some of the aggressive moves across it didn't necessarily pay out. And one of the things the PCA pride themselves on is that good, clean, tough racing. And that's really and truly, I think, what is going to win the day here. We saw a lot of pressure being applied at Silverstone, but with as much runoff as there was, we didn't see the mistakes really coming back to bite nearly as much. I think here at Barber, those mistakes are going to be punished a lot more.
Okay, I think we are about done here. So I believe it is time to go to our grid. Let's get ready to run for 45 minutes here at Barber Motorsports Park, and Scott Rogers will lead them to that green flag with Trip Starkey starting next to him and Garrett Taylor starting in P3. Then it's Kim Frick in 4th with David Kaufman in P5 and Drew Kenny starting from 6. You got Benjamin Loving in 7th, Hector Garcia in 8th, and then row 5 as Ackerberg's on surprisingly far down, and Patrick Adamczyk starting from 10th.
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be David Kritzler, followed by Chris Ramirez, with Joseph Evers and Greg Palmer lining up behind them. Michael Burgoyne will be 15th, followed by Chris Pippen, with Jack Stevenson in 17th, Andrew Smiley in 18th, and rounding out your top 20, it's Albert Abita and Scott Kessel.
Our webcam for today, Craig Sutter, giving us a view from 21st at the start with Craig Smith in 22nd. You've got Robert Benson in 23rd. Then it's Freddie Lopez, P24, and John Kearney in 25th. After that quarter-century mark, it is Jeff Lashway. You've got Abraham Jones in 27th, Stacy Iwata in P28, and Andrew McCune 29th. Degas rounds out our top 30 with Robert Isle, Gordon Wardle, and Frederick Chin rounding out your 33-car field starting here in Alabama. Taylor, I believe you've got a little bit of a spotlight for us here for one of our drivers.
Yeah, we certainly do, and it's going to be, in fact, our in-car driver that we saw a little bit ago, Craig Sutter from the Cimarron region. He is looking forward to competing here tonight at Barber Motorsports Park. A little bit of fun facts about Craig Sutter. He has been in sim racing for about 2 years now, and one of the things that he feels like he is accomplishing when it comes to the PCA is trying to be consistent each and every week. He just tied his best finish last week at Silverstone with an 18th place position, but he still wants to try to always keep improving and being more consistent. His favorite Porsche, of course, is the 911 997.1, and the reason why he has his favorite number as number 3, well, is a big baseball number that he used to play with, along with his wife, who played in basketball. So a big baseball fan, looking forward to competing here for the second year in PCA competition. It's going to be very fun indeed.
So we got another half lap as they work their way through Museum Corner. And I've been saying it before, Rachel, this is an incredibly tough track to drive. It tends to challenge drivers. So, I mean, do you have any cutting remarks for them that maybe would give them some encouragement?
Well, the important things to remember are here for lap at Barber. Do not trim those corners too tight. It will come back and it will take off your ear. You've got to remember that you get and make sure to win. It's not a number 2 clipper, it's a number 1 clipper. And I think we've already used up this joke tree.
Yeah, we'll have to go somewhere else for this in the meantime as they come up to the crest of 13. One of the corners where you'd think maybe you'd get a chance to overtake, but it's just so swift into there, and it tends to cause more problems than opportunities than you might think. And on to the front stretch pretty soon as we wait for the Porsche pace car to duck into pit lane. No pit stops tonight as they are going straight through. And up at the front of it, Scott Rogers now has control. Around turn 16 and onto the front stretch. Barney's holding up the green flag, waiting for them to go. And it's out. Green flag waves. Ooh, it's a poor start for second place. Trip Starkey as Garrett Taylor is already looking to the inside, thinking about first place, and he gets down past our pole sitter as there's a big wad up down behind them into the first corner. Many of them not even making it to the Alabama roller coaster, DJ.
Yeah, lots of drivers there, just a little bit of rear tire spin, and that's sending the car around in a circle, so a big kerfluffle there in the back. But up front, as you said, Garrett Taylor able to get a good lead here. Trip Starkey now all the way back into 5th place, trying to make a move on Hector Garcia. Or we have a very, very jumbled up order as that's a car going a little bit wide there out of Charlotte's Web.
Oh, we got another spinner in the background through Charlotte's Web. That is Craig Sutter and someone else, I think, but we'll get back to that in a bit. Meanwhile, front runners already down through Museum Corner. Taylor leads with a magnificent start. Drew Kenny in 2nd, Scott Rogers in 3rd.
Yeah, there it is. Ooh, that looked like a little bit of a wide run there in the back for Garcia. And indeed, Starkey pressing his advantage, able to get by in an area we normally don't see a lot of overtaking. And oh, that's the 737 off.
Oh, Scott Rogers, our pole sitter, into the barriers in the first lap. I think he's going to be able to rejoin, because even though the car is limping, I don't think he hit it hard enough that he should have taken too much damage. My goodness, Rachel, this has been a tough one for a driver who had the world on in an oyster just in front of him not moments ago.
Yeah, Barber's a very unforgiving track. It's an amazing track to drive, but when you are in a crowd, it is a lot more complicated a situation. These guys have to be so careful. This place can really bite, and this first section is a lot more complicated than it seems. You'd think the braking zone down towards Charlotte's Web would be more complex, but no, it's really down that first couple runs round the big 180 carousel. It will get you if you're in a lot of people, because you think you've more room than you have.
Taylor, this is not exactly the start of the season that Scott was hoping for, especially considering his success over the summer.
It certainly is, and that's very disappointing for him right now. He wants to try to see if he can get back out on the track to continue on, but it's going to be a tall order for Scott Rogers now after dropping down into pit road in 29th. Thankfully, though, we have a few minutes left in the race where he can be able to work his way up through the field, but for a chance of a podium or a top 4 win is completely out the window.
So we come back here to Greg Palmer in 8th position, whole train of cars. But we didn't see it on screen behind him. Scott Kessel just had an off and a wreck behind him, actually. Jack Stevenson and the 11. Looks like Joseph Evers is going to get caught up. And then someone spun out of turn 15 as well. 3
That's
separate
Starkey.
Incidents.
That is Trip Starkey, Joe, that had the spin. So absolutely terrible luck here befalling our front row.
So as our drivers up at the front are discovering you can't rest on your laurels, here's Trip Starkey's replay, and the rear just comes around.
Unfortunately, that's a pretty easy thing to do coming through at the Alabama roller coaster. That's just bringing a little bit too much speed into the corner. It is slightly off camera as it goes downhill. And if you get the line slightly wrong, bring a little bit too much speed into the corner, the rear will want to step out on you. And that's exactly what happened there to Trip.
Well, now leading the way, Garrett Taylor ahead of Hector Garcia by about 5 seconds, with Krutzler into third. He was used to that from last round, so there you see the Red Bull liveried machine heading up and over turn 3. Top drivers having spread apart. Our first real battle is back here with Ramirez just behind Frick.
Oh, and that's going to spread out a little bit as Ramirez runs wide there coming through turn 12. Keeps his foot in it, though, so able to keep up behind Frick as much as possible. Frick, in turn, trying to close in a little bit there on Krutzler ahead, but certainly battle's spreading out, but battle's still abounding.
And there's a lot of racing left to go here, Rachel. We got to remember that. It's not over in the first 5 minutes. There is a chance to rebound.
Oh, most certainly. Now, this might seem like a really difficult concept, but to finish. I don't smell toast, I promise. To finish first, one must first finish, which seems very zen. I did not read it from War and Peace, but no, you need to be at the end of the race to actually win it. So it's often something drivers do struggle with, that turn 1 feels like the checkered flag has just flown, but I think it's everyone's so close together, it feels very easy to try and make a move. That's a lie. Cars are a lot bigger than they seem. They're quite heavy, and they don't do bumper cars very well. I don't see a Ferris wheel.
We jump back to Frederick Chin here, side-by-side fight with the likes of Lashway, trying to poke to the inside down into Museum Corner, but nothing doing on that one. We were trying to dig up some info here on our leader, and Taylor, it looks like there's good reason we don't have much on him.
He certainly is. He's making his debut, looking over all the information that I can find about him. But so far for Garrett Taylor, I mean, a phenomenal drive for the Kansas City region driver. He's gotten the race lead away, and he has pulled it out to about a 2.5-second lead over Hector Garcia, which is a phenomenal going for a debut driver. We've only seen a few drivers throughout PCA's history that have pulled off amazing driving capabilities in their debut, and some of those ones who made their first ever debut went on to win championships.
I think we might have a penalty already, which does not bode well. Jeff Lashway, for some reason, is already in pit lane. They only have 11 incidents before they find themselves falling afoul of some penalties. And yeah, he went straight through. So Jeff Lashway has already gotten the naughty card waved at him as we watch from Craig Sutter's perspective.
Yeah, you can see Sutter there. This is one of the few chances on the track that you get a chance to take a break. Looking his way through the apex of the corner. That is Stacy Iwata, I believe, getting a little bit wider. Is that a lap car in front? As he is able to move on there. Sutter keeping going. Yeah, that was a lapped car, but you see just how much you have to look through the corners around here, Joe, as so many of them are so perilously long.
Yeah, playing patient. We watch from Krutzler now. Battle for the podium positions, dealing with the pressure from Frick. Ooh, we had another car off, and I think that was Scott Kessel.
It was indeed Kessel in the 48 machine there. You can see him coming out of the corner, getting back on. That is just in between 12 and 13. It looks like carries a little bit too much speed. Whoa, big jump of the curb. Remember Pato O'Ward trying to do some of those moves in qualifying earlier this year when IndyCar came to the track, but definitely not exactly. Wah!
More cars off to the side. Oh, and one on its lid. Ankerberg's zone goes flipping. Freddie Lopez was around, and Abraham Jones also involved. It looks like the track is finally cleared through turn one, but that caused some problems. Yeah, poor Scott Kessel there in the 48 lost plenty of time. He's going to have to make a record run, Will Kessel, to try and make up for that one. And looks like Rachel has some information. What's going on?
Not information, it's more of a question. Which Pacific Island language was that you just used? I'm pretty sure you just insulted someone's mother, whatever that was.
I assure you it wasn't an intended dialect of offense.
Someday we'll get a supercut of the noises that DJ makes somewhere on YouTube as we watch from Kim Frick now back in fourth. Going from attack to defense with Ramirez closing up behind, down through turn one, and then the long right-hander, a carousel-esque turn here where the track drops away, compresses back up and over the crest, and Ramirez is looking quite strong.
Yeah, Ramirez got a really good run there. A little bit of a narrower line through turn four. Going to try to go the long way around Charlotte's Web. Now looking for a little bit more of a crossover move. But I think Frick has got that covered off, able to hold it off well. Now coming back through that kink that is turn six. Doesn't look like Ramirez is going to be able to close it down here. A little bit of a poke to the inside going down through Museum Corner. That wasn't a real offensive move there like we talked about, Joe. I think that was him just trying to show his nose a little bit, see if he can force the 66 offline.
No, not looking to take offense yet, as nobody's quite said anything about his mother, but Ramirez is certainly giving chase. Three of them still stuck together, with Krutzler in third, Frick fourth, and Ramirez in P5.
Now running line astern here. This is the part of the race, I think, where drivers are going to really start to just kind of mellow out a little bit, get into the rhythm around here, around Barber. It's a track that can be a little bit hard to build that rhythm. It as each corner sort of breaks itself up. It's not something like Spa where each corner flows very nicely into one another. There's a lot of technical portions here.
See a little bit of a battle forming behind these guys. And I think that's with Frederick Chin. Oh, and as soon as I say that, Chin starts to drop away from Burgoyne for top 10. They were in a nice little fight. So let's stay here down into Charlotte's Web once more. Actually named because of the spider statues that are out there. They have various statues of animals and things around this circuit, which certainly gives it some flavor. But that was a poor exit there from Ramirez, who drops away.
Yeah, not able to hold that up, but looks like we've had an engine blow out on track there, Joe. I believe that's Daniel Dugas.
I think Rachel might have something on that. Not sure. Rachel, what have you got?
Not on him, no. So if it's actually that you wanted, I can come back later.
All right. We'll try and see. Well, I think we're getting ever closer. That is Well, that is Daniel Dugas in the 30, who just has abandoned the track and leaves them going. Certainly dirtied up the windshields of those ahead of him. We do have some information about Chris Ramirez, who we have been watching recently, and Taylor's got that.
Yeah, looking over Chris Ramirez's stats from the past couple of seasons, I mean, he's not been having the best of runs. He has always finished outside the top 20. Looking at his stats, though, here tonight, he is running very strong in this race here at Barber, running in that fourth position. So this could be the night where we see Chris Ramirez finally turn around to see what he can do here in the PCA and maybe have a chance to compete for a championship.
Trip Starkey now getting very close. Remember, he's on a recovery drive and going to make a move on Kearney, who decides not to defend too hard, knows that's a quicker driver, just wants to see the finish of this race. So there's one more for Tripp up into 14th after starting on the front row. That's still going to be disappointing. Back to the battle for the podium, still half a second splitting Krutzler and Frick, with Ramirez now promoted into 4th place behind them. Ooh, Ramirez going very wide, DJ, over 13.
Very, very wide indeed. Lucky he didn't catch anything bad there. And for anyone wondering, by the way, Hector Garcia, who was running around in P2, had a spin earlier, and that demoted him down into 6th place. So now as this battle for P2 comes along, they aren't all that far away from some lap traffic in front of them. That is the 23rd place machine of Jeff Lashaway, who had to serve that penalty. So that could cause a little bit of a trouble out here for these podium contenders.
There's Adam Chick on screen now, just behind Scott Kessel, who we saw have a big spin. Thankfully, didn't hit anything in all of that. Under threat, because it seems that that number 407 has quite a bit of pace, gets close to the rear wing, can't quite make it happen into turn 1. Little bobble, though. It starts to go wide mid-corner at the Alabama roller coaster.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a miscalculation on the inside line there. Almost got into the grass. There you see the 407 poking snow to the outside. Now going to make a dive down to the inside. Late on the brakes is Adam Chick. Gets the move done. That was some brave stuff, Joe.
And holds the apex to boot, so no over-under for Kessel. He's going to try to come back with a slipstream. Looks down to the inside, but isn't quite gutsy enough down into Museum Corner. Backs out, and so Adam Chick has 11th.
Does indeed, and now he's going to set his sights 1 second up the road, or there or thereabouts, to Frederick Chin. So Adam Chick trying to make a good recovery drive, looking to get a good top 10 here at Barber. And with moves like that in the 407, I got to say that's certainly on the cards.
Up and over 13, and Adam Chick has a little bit of a problem trying to make that corner, but doesn't lose too much time. Things have spread about. And that is Craig Smith off the course. So he's going to drop out of the top 10, facing the wrong way in the number 10 car. I think he may have hit the wall, but I don't believe we have. No, he got hit by another car, actually. Frederick Chin just barely tipped him around.
A little bit of tiptoeing there as there's a little bit of a battle starting to shape up there. That is Adam Chick trying to come up behind Frederick Chin, who got slowed as a result of that spin from Craig Smith. This battle certainly starting to get a little bit spicy. That is the place where Adam Chick was able to make that good move down into the corner there.
Indeed. Oh, and behind him, Kessel thought he could maybe have a go at Dugas, but unfortunately went off course. That was lap traffic that they just overtook. Daniel there, down in 25th currently. Kind of riding behind Adam Chick now, who is doing quite the good job here today. He's backed up to where he started, but certainly is willing to make some good moves to make things stick. Meanwhile, back onto the front stretch here. This is some of our leaders once again, and I believe they're getting a friend. Chris Pippin is starting to join.
He is indeed, Joe, and Pippin's been running some good laps here, putting in some very, very good times. A 23.8 last time out. That is his fastest lap of the race, and significantly faster than any of those drivers locked into that battle for P2.
Speaking of pip in, I believe our pit reporter has been trying to pip in. Oh, excuse me, no, we can't go to that because we have a big wreck with Frick, Lashway, and Krutzler all involved out of the hairpin. So Ramirez promoted to P2 and Pippin now to third.
Oh, my goodness gracious. And, Joe, this was some of that lap traffic that I was talking about, maybe running into a problem with this leading pack of drivers. There you can see just going down into Charlotte's Web. Lashaway gives space there, and then on corner exit, oh, bingo, bango, just everybody into one another.
Yeah, miscommunication on that corner exit, it seems. Well, I was trying to make a good pun that our pit reporter was trying to pip in. Rachel, you've got some news, or, well, not news, but a fact about the track here.
I do. You mentioned earlier about the spiders and other animals. Now, these were all created by an artist called Bill Secunda, who he was commissioned to create these sculptures, all these large metal sculptures. Now, one of the interesting ones, of course, is there is actually one that is not an animal. We have spiders, dragonflies, lions, but we also have a Sisyphean figure pushing a boulder. Now, Sisyphean, if you are not a student of the classics, is a Greek, obviously of Sisyphus. And, well, it just seems to fit right now because from what we've seen on track, I'm pretty sure Garrett Taylor, his car is a Trojan horse. Under that Porsche is an even faster Porsche. Although I'm pretty sure it's not wooden.
So it's Porscheception.
Garrett Taylor to tech, please.
Whoop, somebody spinning down into the corner. Is that Ramirez? It is. Ramirez now makes a mistake. And Pippin is through into second after starting 16th today on the grid. Chris is making mighty inroads on the field. But what happened to Ramirez? DJ, we've got the replay up.
I'm watching it here, and you saw it there. I believe that was coming down into Museum Corner. Indeed, this is him out of 6, gets onto the binders. That looks like the car just wanted to step out on him, maybe a little bit of rear brake lockup, and just couldn't get it wound up as he went through the corner. Another angle there. Joe, I got to say, that's very reminiscent of moves that we've seen Takuma Sato do around here and a couple years ago when IndyCar visited.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I've seen a few prototypes as well from IMSA making visits, having a little cut across that corner before. So Ramirez is, how far down did he go? Only to third, actually. So only lost one position, but 2.5 seconds to make up to Chris Pippin. And Taylor, Chris, have you got any information on this guy? Because I have to say I did not bookmark him as one to watch. I think we may have lost
Chris Pippin is...
Oh, there we go.
I'm back. Here we go. Sorry, I had a little moment right there with that microphone. But Chris Pippin has been a strong competitor in PCA competition. Started last series and put on a strong performance. And in fact, looking through some of his stats, he does have picked up a couple of decent top 10 finishes throughout the season of last series of Series 6. A couple little fun facts, of course, for Chris Pippin. His favorite Porsche is, of course, a Turbo S. The number 42 is, of course, from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's why he prefers that number. And then, of course, his favorite driver, none other than the great Michael Schumacher. So looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the season after just only competing for 1 year.
I made reference to a bookmark, and I was hoping somebody would get to the literary side of him as we now see the 6 car of Andrew Smiley, who's our only driver that has 0 incidents so far in this race. No, I take that back. We have one more, and Burgoyne is right behind him. So I don't know what's happening here in just inside the top 10 that's keeping these cars safe, but well, credit to them because nobody else has managed what they have.
No, they haven't, and it's really a testament to the 2 drivers' skills. Ooh, as we ride on board with Hector Garcia, who's having a little bit of a look at David Krutzler here as they come out of Charlotte's Web, and that is Ramirez right in front of him. So this is a 3-car battle right now. Watching
from on board down the hill, and Krutzler goes a little bit wide. Garcia trying to see if he can get the run, but it is narrow through this part of the circuit, through the S's, over the curbs. You can see how brave they are trying to take those curbs. And then one more set of S's into 13, or 12 and 13 rather. This one with much more elevation, change, and a bobble out of Krutzler is somehow caught, and Garcia can't do anything yet.
Can't do anything yet, but you can see the alternate lines he is taking. Look at the speed that 14 is able to carry as he just finds his way and feels around on this track a little bit. Although I'm hearing that Sutter has had an off in the back, but ooh, is this a look maybe for Krutzler? No, he's going to stick out of it again.
Thought about it. He's given a lot of pressure here. Yeah, we don't need to go to it, but Sutter was off in turns 12 and 13 himself. Here he is, and you can see him shaking his head. He must have hit the wall because he's headed into pit lane down towards Rachel.
Yeah, Sutter's not had a good time with this one, unfortunately. It will have to be a service for him there on the stop with his crew. It was actually round towards the back end of the lap, third corner to go, and it was a self-enforced issue there. Just lost the back end, which seems to be a trend today at Barber.
Yeah, a lot of drivers have made mistakes. So this one is going to be a day to lick their wounds after this. As we head back to Kessel, we said he's going to have to do a lot to try and get back into it. Well, he's up to 11th now, and next up the road is another guy that could possibly pull him through here, DJ. That's Trip Starkey.
Yeah, it is indeed. Tripp has done a pretty good job of recovering from that opening laps incident there in the number 20 machine, starting to push his way forward into the top 10. Still got a big gap up ahead of him, though, about 3.5 to 3.8 seconds up the road to Patrick Adamczyk. But I do not think that Starkey is anywhere near out of done competing yet.
Certainly not. We're not done competing, but we have a little bit of a break here because it's time to bring you the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. With each new version of the Z1 Dashboard software, it gets better and more feature-rich, and version 2021.3 is no exception. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom dashboards for use with the Z1 Dashboard. So in addition to the almost 200 standard car dashes, track maps, standings, and specialty displays, you can add your own custom designs, placing the data where you want, exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of the engineering and strategy for you. Where's your competition? When should you pit? How much fuel do you need? Who is in front or behind you? How is the weather? Are you gaining or losing to the other drivers? Make sure you are maximizing your on-track performance with the Z1 Dashboard. Using the Z1 Dashboard to examine your laps is an essential tool to becoming a fast driver. Find out more, visit z1dashboard.com. Rachel?
Thank you very much. Well, leading the way today is rookie Garrett Taylor. That car is putting on a great show here. The number 3 machine, the Kansas City region driver. Looks like Red Bull does actually give you wings because he has some here in zone number 10. And he's up from 3rd place on the grid. 2nd place right now, Pippin him at the post, he hopes, is Chris Pippin in the 25, the Kansas City region driver as well, from zone 10. Hang on, I'm sensing a trend here. There's a lot of Kansas going on right now. Never mind. Chris is up from 16th, so huge climb for him, currently running 2nd. 3rd place, Chris Ramirez, Lone Star region driver, number 5, or zone 5 of Texas, of course. He's up from 12th place now, running in 3rd in that 23 machine. Behind him is Dave Krutzner from the Suncoast, Florida region of Zone 2. The 74 car there, up from 11th place. There's some big movement out front after that early kerfuffle, as we said. I love that word. It's great. Thank you, DJ. Behind them is Hector Garcia in 5th place, up from 8th himself. The Gulfstream region of Zone 12, that 14 car, is up 3 places. First car back to is Kim Frick from the Niagara region, zone number 1. That 66 car back 2 places from where he started in 4th, trying to regain. P7 is Andrew Smiley from the Connecticut Valley region of Zone 1. The number 6 car there, up from 18th into 7th, so a huge climb for him too, putting it on today. Michael Burgoyne, Trip Starkey there, is in the 8th position. The 20 car from the Rocky Mountain region of zone number 9. This is just a just pass that we just didn't quite catch on the screen, but Trip is definitely getting things moving here. Up from, or down from 2nd, trying to recover himself back here. Michael Burgoyne there in 9th place, up from 15th right now to 9th. Sixth place is gained for the number 021 Oregon region driver of Zone 6, and that very sparkly yellow Porsche. 10th place is Scott Kessel. Well, he's definitely on the Kessel run tonight because he is up 10 whole places from where he started in 20th. And he is getting a move on here. The 48 car from the Northeast region in zone number 1 is definitely punching in. Scott Rogers, P11 tonight, is apparently down from first. He is running in 11th. This is not a great day for him. He had some trouble early on, but he's hoping to fight it back, and he's definitely putting on a good drive today. 12th place, the 10 car, Craig Smith from the Mid-Ohio region, zone number 4. Smith is up from 22nd and is currently running there in 12th, so he's trying to get himself back into a good position. In fact, trying to get as much as he can. Can he breach the top 10? We'll find out. Coming up in 13th is Robert Benson, the 71 car from the Rennsport region of Zone 1. Robert Benson up from 23rd to 13th, so another 10th-place gain driver. It's almost like they followed each other. 14th is going to be Joseph Evers. He is currently down 1 from 13th on the grid. Plenty of time to gain that back. The Big Sky region driver of Zone 14 is in the 830. 15th place tonight is John Kearney in the middle of a big fight here. Metropolitan New York region driver of Zone number 1 is like, hey, I'm driving here. Too much? Yeah, probably. The 2 car is up from 25th to 15th, so another 10 places gained. And behind them, it is Jack Stevenson in 16th. The Chicago region driver is trying to catch up. His car is thankfully not in deep dish right now, but the 11 car is putting it on for Zone 13. Taylor.
Currently sitting in the 17th position from the Milwaukee region is Greg Palmer in that car, number 44, with the Gulf livery as he works his way down the Alabama roller coaster, or through the museum corner. As he works his way through, he's gained a couple of spots after dropping back a little bit, but still has a ways to go after starting 14th. In the 18th spot from the Canada West region is Stacy Iwata as he is working his way through, as he has Strip Starkey behind him in car number 13. He'll let him by smooth and surely up through the rest of the hill. As we go back to P19, that's Benjamin Loving from the Florida Citrus region as he works his way up through the hills here and working his way nicely after starting in 20th or 7th position, so not the position he wants to be in. Has a lot of work to do here late in the going. 21st position goes, or 20th position actually goes to Anker Bergson from the Northeast region. Very quiet night for him, but after some contact early on in penalties, he had to definitely work his way through in order to make his way back up to the field, but a tough break for Anker as he sits there. 21st position is Frederick Chin in car number 28 for the Las Vegas region. Started 33rd and has worked his way up, so a very strong performance for that number 28 from the Las Vegas region. We'll move back to 22nd. He was our spotlight driver. Craig Sutter hard back at it on the wheel from the Cimarron region. There you see the VR headsets are on him. He's just trying to focus, get through these last few races here as he currently sits one lap down. 23rd is the 777 of Freddie Lopez from the SS Racing team as he works his way. The South Sound Racing Porsche now on pit road, so he'll hopefully rejoin the track. Next up in 24th is Daniel Dugas from the Hill Country region, Zone 5. Quiet night for him after gaining 5 spots, starting in the 30th spot. Robert Isle will be next up on the grid. He's 25th in the Ohio Valley region, car 046. Quiet night for him after starting in the 31st position. 25th position, or 26th position, goes to Abraham Jones in the 996. Very familiar number for Porsche in the Martini colors as he works his way up through the corners, having a quiet night for him. 27th is Jeff Lashway from the Hudson Champlain region, car number 24. Started in the, going a little bit off-roading, as we'll go on to 28th, Andrew McCune in car 55 from the Rocky Mountain region. And then rounding out the rest of the cars that are on the track, Patrick Adam Cheswick, who is on pit road, sits in 28th. 4 cars are also out. Gordon Wardell in 30th, Albert Ubeta in 31st, David Kaufman in 32nd, and Drew Kenny rounding out your 33-car field.
And this concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. Big thanks to them, as well as thank you to Rachel and Taylor for taking us through. DJ, we've had our own story go through its escalation, its climax, and its resolution. And in the process of that, Taylor was almost caught for a moment. Now it's gone away again.
Yeah, indeed. Chris Pippen looking like he had a good run, but this is Hector Garcia trying to make a look on David Kretzler. That battle for the final podium position starting to pay off. But yeah, as you said, Joe, Chris Pippen thought he found a little corner of the sky around here at Barber, but just wasn't able to pull back in on Garrett Taylor. So that gap now holding at about 1.2 seconds.
Pippen's going to have to leave the Shire here if he wants to get a reward. And in the meantime, Chris having to go around another lapped car as we watch the battle behind them. Kretzler with Garcia all over his rear wing. That's a lapped car behind them in the 30. So that's not for position amongst them. Down the hill, almost getting into the back of him, nearly having to lock up the brakes. Hector is brave today.
Certainly is, and going for it as much as he can. You can see that advantage getting pushed through the chicanes. Very late maneuver to the inside. That'll be down to the inside. Going into turn 12. He's going to have to go the long way around now, and he's got it done. That is guts in motion.
Beautiful stuff that may merit Garcia a podium today as he now moves into third. Now, let's take another look real quick at that move. Looks like somewhat early braking from Kretzler. This is from Garcia's perspective, but he's still got to make it stick, and he doesn't know where he's going to brake on this turn. He sees the car next to him and just plays chicken and wins today. Now, I believe we have one man who is no chicken, Taylor Burris, ready to bring us some mini brave facts. What's the trivia today, Taylor?
Well, of course, when it comes to things Porsche, there is one series that has been around for a while. Of course, it's now a little bit of a different thanks to its partnership with IMSA, but the IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge used to run here quite often for the Barber Motorsports Park races. Now, we're going to go a little back in time to 2019, and we're going to look for the overall race winner from that event. So the 2019 IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge USA at Barber. So see if you can guess who the winner is, and we'll make sure to give you a shout out during tonight's broadcast.
Kim Frick with a good over-under here, trying to battle with Smiley. I believe our last one with 0 incidents on the board, so he's got to be careful here as he plunges down through. He's going to be safe through there. And the incidents here are not just, of course, for pride, Rachel. They have an impetus. They have a points bonus for that. If they keep clean, things get scary in there.
Yeah, they certainly do. And it wouldn't be Barber without a clean shave.
Oh, there it goes.
Yep, that wasn't a clean shave. There was blood coming out.
And nobody gets the 4 bonus points for the 0X today. Is Andrew Smiley. Oh, as both of them almost put a pincher maneuver. Oh, and it does cause a spin for Burgoyne. Oh, that was a nightmare scenario for the 021. Oh, both cars coming back on track as he's trying to come over a blind crest, loses control and then gets hit, and I think he gets a penalty. He is the first of many. I have to actually stop and count here how many drivers have gotten drive-through penalties today.
Joe, I'll tell you, I don't think I can count it because it is more drivers than I have fingers, and that's about the limit of my math skills. But as we watch them continue to go around here, we talked about how clean and technical you had to be around Barber. And man, oh man, were we right. This place just catching out almost absolutely everyone today.
Well, they got a sense of false hope from Silverstone, where we saw some fantastic racing. And there's been great racing here today. It's just, unfortunately, this has kind of tipped everything on its head for our drivers. It's heading past, Burgoyne just took a tow. That was Joseph Evers that we were watching briefly. We've got Garrett Taylor, though. DJ, you are the man when it comes to narrated laps. Talk us around here at Barber.
All right, well, as we ride on board with your leader, this is the plunge down into Charlotte's Web. Get over to the right, start your braking zone right at about the 2 board. This is a tricky corner. It's technically a double apex. You want to carry as much momentum as you can on the outside, but also be back to the inside for that kink of turn 6 to not lose a lot of momentum. Now, again, hard onto the brakes for Museum Corner. Let the car kind of coast down the hill here. Don't be too aggressive on the throttle. Get a big clobber of those curves on the outside, and again, carry that momentum. Now, this is that tricky chicane, 10 and 11. A little bit of a feather on the throttle as you go through it with some nice clips of the curbing. Now, headed towards turn 12. A little jab of the brakes before you get heavy onto the brakes here for 13. Then bring it up over the crest of the hill. Start braking right as about you can see everything in front of you and turn and pray. This is a completely blind sequence of corners here. Then move the car back to the right to swing it through the final turn 15 or through 16. Now you're onto the main straight. You can breathe for a second. Set up the line ahead of you as much as possible. Then get heavy onto the brakes there for a quick jab to get the speed slowed down for turn 1, and then get harder onto the brakes in here for the Alabama roller coaster. Don't get onto the throttle too early. We've seen it so easy to spin those tires, and then once you're on it, let it go. Crest up over the hill, make sure the rear end doesn't step away from you, and that is a lap around Barber.
Sounds like we've got some information from Taylor. Looks like something's happened to Chris Pippen.
Chris Pippen did go off a little bit early on, was able to lose a bunch of time to Hector Garcia, who now moves up into P2 right now, but has still hold on to that 3rd position. Has about a 2 to 3 second lead over David Krutzler in that 4th position right now. So not too much. Kind of what we saw Chris Ramirez happen to him earlier on when he had a spin going down through the museum.
This is the closest battle we've got on track right now. We were watching it before we went on board with our leader. This is Evers, who we're riding with in the gray. That blue machine is Robert Benson. Just behind them, actually, ironically, is our leader. And beautiful bit of handiwork there from Joseph just to pull to the side and let the lapping car through so he doesn't interrupt the race of the number 3.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it and a quick way to do it around there. That's one of the few corners on this track that there are a couple of different lines that you can take. Now, Garcia here, or Evers rather, is going to get a little bit of the benefit of the draft down the main straightaway, but that's not going to help him too much because then he'll get back into a little bit of the dirty stuff. As we see the surviving Porsches around here working their way. There goes your leader, putting 12th place a lap down, now about to maybe go in on 11th.
Yeah, and Benson, though, is up 12 positions here since the start of this race. Keeping it on the tarmac seems to have been one of the key strategies to being able to pull out a good result here. There you see the Rennsport region driver coming down into the museum corner. Now, I can't imagine that he wants to give up too much time to Garrett Taylor because, as we said, this is a battle for position between himself and Evers. And if he lifts at the wrong spot here, Rachel, he could make himself vulnerable.
Yeah, he really could. He's got to ignore them. Just put them in that rearview mirror and just ignore it. Just don't think about it, because if you do, you're going to drive wrong. This track, you've got to be all out the windshield. You can't drive out the rearview mirror. You've got to just optimize your lap, because if you are driving the right lap, they can't pass you, really. So just stick with it.
We saw a bit of an off there for our leader, Garrett Taylor. Thankfully did not wreck the car, but 2 wheels in the dirt over turn 13 and didn't bend it. Is a very good sign of this car control that Garrett has underneath them. Meanwhile, the battle now continues, that they've been left alone. Game on as the hockey set is put back in the street. Benson now puts up the mirrors, tries to keep himself out of threat from Evers, but Evers has a great run up and over turn 4, down into Charlotte's Web. Does he dare? I don't think he's close enough. No, the 830 is going to stay in line.
Yeah, he's not going to go for it there. And now he's got Hector Garcia behind him, and that's Evers having to get out of the way for that. So that is not going to be good news for Joseph. He was able to close down on Benson up ahead of him, in large in part because of Garrett Taylor coming up behind him and Benson letting him by through turn 12. Now it looks like it may be a very similar problem, a slowdown there for a deliberate slowdown for Benson, letting that second place by. This may pull back in now.
He thinks about it, took a little bit of a peek, but Joseph decides against it. We've only got 4 minutes left on the clock. It takes about a minute and a half to try and get around this track. Now that they are a lap down, it'll be one fewer laps to try and deal with as we check back in with Sutter. We saw his frustration displayed visibly earlier. Looks like he's calmed down now, still running in 20th.
Yeah, and that's the sign of an experienced driver, Joe, is you can have those flares of emotion. You can get mad at yourself or the drivers around you, but at the end of the day, you've got to just calm it back down and get back to running the race that you wanted to run from the beginning. Kurt doing a good job here to keep that car just on track and keep running at this point.
Just trying to look through the order to see if we had any other good fights, but no, this is our best one, and it's been a good one to watch. I have to admit, Joseph putting immense pressure on the blue and green 71 up and across the hill. We get a little bit of a squirt here towards Museum Corner. Sometimes we see passes into there, but certainly not this time, as the orange and gray 830 is just a little too far back. Hoping for a mistake out of the Falcon liveried car, and none is forthcoming. Oh, and I think we had a pass for 7th as Scott Rogers just got by Smiley. The 737 up from where he fell down by some ways.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what precipitated that, but Rogers indeed up into 7th right now over Smiley. Smiley keeping that gap relatively close behind, but you can see there that it looks like Rogers maybe pulling away a little bit.
So let's see, can you get anybody else? 2 minutes or 2 minutes? I hope it's not 2 minutes. 2 seconds up to Scott Kessel up next for Scott Rogers. But he's shown very good pace, and it does look like he's a little bit quicker, but it's going to be tight on whether or not he can get to him. Only 2 minutes left on the clock now. In fact, I think it's going to be white flag next time by for Garrett Taylor.
I think that's indeed right, Joe. Taylor should cross at just 2 to go, or white flag there. So here he comes, watching those times as your leader goes on by. He's got to keep on his game, though. That blue and yellow machine behind him, that is Hector Garcia, only about 1.1 seconds behind. So if there's a little bobble here from Garrett Taylor, rest assured the 14 will pounce.
And just in time to slide on home, we've got Taylor Burris with a correct answer.
We certainly do, and of course it goes to our racer out in the YouTube chat. It is none other than 2019 both Porsche GT3 Cup USA champion as well as Canadian champion Roman DeAngelis, who is now also competing in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series in the GTD. So congratulations, our racer, for doing that. You get the shout out and could get the correct answer on tonight's trivia. We'll have another one later on in the next race.
Oh, we got to go to our leaders. This white flag might be an exciting one because Garcia is all over the back of Garrett Taylor now. After having it all his own way, the 3 has got to survive for one more lap, and he goes a little bit wide. Can Garcia make this one stick? He's pinched down a little bit, tries to get the throttle off the corner, and they're going to be about dead, even almost making contact over turn 4. Thankfully, none happened. That could have spun both of them. Taylor with the lap traffic. Will this hold things up once again? Frederick Chin just in front of them. Looks a little slow off the turn. DJ, this has suddenly come alive. As they come down into Museum Corner once again, Garrett Taylor trying to fend off the number 14, and once again lap traffic just not working well for him. He's slowed. Garcia sees an opportunity, tries to go too wide into the S's, nothing doing there. Garcia has to set it up again, almost going wheels into the dirt, but still not losing time. Down into turn 13 once again. Garrett Taylor, can he hold it together for just 2 more corners? Chops down to the apex of turn 14. Now the long right-hander of turn 15, cutting underneath. No room at the end for Hector Garcia. It looks like Garrett Taylor is going to barely squeak through with the win here for the event 2 of the PCA Sim Racers Series, presented by Hagerty, by 1.5 tenths of a second.
Oh my goodness gracious, Garrett Taylor able to keep up that stout defenses. There's another little battle going on. This is Evers, who looks like he's had a Oh, it's after the line. Excuse me. That is after the line. But that was Evers unable to get by Ramirez at the line. We jump back to Scott Rogers, seeing if he is able to have anything on Smiley. Remember, we said that was a little bit of something that we wanted, or Kessel rather, that we wanted to keep an eye on. Only about a second back now. One mistake out of Smiley could spoil this.
Exactly, and Rogers is not interested in throwing anything away after he did already in pretty much the first laps of the event. So Scott Rogers around turns 15 and 16. He didn't quite catch Kessel, but at least he got himself into the top 10, and he'll get some points for 7th place. It's a question of what could have been. Craig Smith could be our last driver on the lead lap in 9th. That is how diabolical this track was here today. There you see him coming around to take the checkered flag, which I believe will also take us to our results here today. And it is going to be Garrett Taylor who takes the victory over Hector Garcia, but barely. Hector getting a whiff of the win, but just wasn't close enough. Chris Pippen also got close to that victory, but fell back to 3rd after a mistake, as David Krutzler was 4th. Trip Starkey recovering up to 5th. He unfortunately spun in the final couple corners early and started on the front row, so that was another one that was lost opportunity. Scott Kessel was 6th, starting from 20th as our pole sitter Rogers. We followed him home to 7th. Andrew Smiley to 8th from 18th, as you've got Craig Smith 22nd to 9th. Robert Benson 23rd to 10th here today, DJ.
Joseph Evers, as we documented, they're not able to get that pass done and came home in 11th, followed by Chris Ramirez and Greg Palmer, with Jack Stevenson 14th and Kim Frick in 15th. John Kearney was 16th, with Ankerberg zoned down in 17th, Benjamin Loving 18th, and Stacy Iwata in 19th. Craig Sutter, 2 laps down, came home 20th.
Goss in 21st, followed by Isle from 31st to 22nd. It was Abraham Jones in 23rd, 3 laps down, with Freddie Lopez in a P24. Frederick Chin wound up in 25th today. 8 laps down, it was Burgoyne. That was a DNF. Mercune, I believe the same thing, with Adam Chick also finishing out the day in pit lane in 28th. Lashway similar in 29th, and Wardle in 30th. From there on down, the last slide is all DNFs. But I believe we've got our 3rd place finisher ready to talk to us here, as Chris Pippen almost had a shot at 2nd place, but still... Excuse me, it looks like we're going to go with our leader here this time. Garrett Taylor here from 3rd to the victory. A little bit of inheritance there, but certainly got nervous at the end, because Garrett, suddenly Hector caught up. What cost you the time and gave us that exciting finish?
A little bit of lap traffic and a little bit of nerves.
That'll always do it around here. How was the lap traffic? We only saw 9 cars finish on the lead lap, so there was plenty of them. Were most of them well behaved?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I had a little trouble navigating some of it, but I think they were all battling with each other, so you never want to screw up somebody else's, position battle. So
even still, I'm sure this has got to be a proud moment for you. Here on this one, giving you very handy points. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this victory today?
Yeah, my wife for letting me do this and taking care of the kids.
You and the kids have something to cheer about here, as that was Garrett Taylor, our winner here. And let's see who we have up next with DJ for our podium interviews.
It looks like we've got 2nd place finisher Hector Garcia. Hector, I got to ask you, talk me through that last lap with just closing in on the leader.
Yeah, hey guys. Man, last lap was super intense. Really was just trying to focus in and try to catch up as much as I could. With my earlier incidents, I was just really focused on getting back up there, determined for a top 3 finish. But yeah, Garrett, really drove a great race, and if it wasn't for his, small incidents there towards the end at the back end of the track, I don't think I would have caught up.
Well, talk me through about a little bit of the mentality in those early incidents and coming back. Were you, after seeing the incidents that other drivers had as well, were you in a little bit of full attack mode, or was it a little bit more of, okay, I'm just going to run a clean race here and that'll hopefully get me to the front?
It was a bit of both, honestly. I was really just determined on running a consistent race. That was really what I was aiming for as my objective for the whole race. But I showed some pace there in the earlier practice session, and I said, maybe I can give it a little bit more of a go. And yeah, after my first incident where it just went off on the grass a little bit and washed out, super frustrated, but I just kind of took her down and just went for it. And then I had another incident later on in the race, which again, super frustrating, but again, felt confident that I had the pace to catch back up and just went for it.
Well, went for it. You did. Hector, anybody you'd like to thank for this well-earned second place here today?
Yeah, Gordon Wardo and Night on Emotion for helping me out get there. I was struggling for the last couple of days on the last sector, and they helped me put through. So thanks.
Thank you, Hector. That was your second place finisher here, Hector Garcia. Joe?
Indeed, and it looks like we've got third place. Rachel has caught up with Chris Pippin, who made an astonishing run from 16th to 3rd.
Certainly have. Thank you, Chris. Great race today, coming in only 8 seconds behind the leaders after starting 16th. First off, tell me about the start of this race, because you benefited big time from that.
Yeah, I definitely did. I just tried to stay out of trouble was the big thing. I figured this is such a technical track. I figured there'd be little contacts, people running wide just in some of these corners with cold tires. I just tried to kind of bide my time and let it work out in front of me, and it did. And I was able to make up some good spots.
Very much so. Now, overall, what do you think of this track in terms of racing here in the Porsche?
I absolutely love this track. Barber is such a unique track, just the flowing hills and the technical nature of it as well, being both very fast but technical concurrently. It's a really, really fun track to be on. This is actually the first track I ever raced at in real life back when I raced motorcycle, so it definitely holds a special place in my heart to be able to race here with the Porsche Club and sim racing as well.
The question is, have you visited the museum here, or do you want to?
I have visited. I got to spend an entire day just walking around, looking at everything. It's an incredible museum. Anyone who ever gets a chance to be even close to it, it's well worth the drive getting over there.
Awesome. Well, I must check it out next time I'm in Birmingham. So thank you very much. Anybody you'd like to say thank you to for this?
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Q Cup Racing, that they here who gave me the start really to get going and the impetus to get into sim racing. So definitely a shout out to Q Cup.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Chris Pippin coming home today in 3rd.
Thank you.
And that will close out this race, but we are not done. Make sure and stay tuned in here, because the PCA Challenge, of course, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard, may be over, but the Sport class is coming up soon. Thank you to Z1 Dashboard again for sponsoring this series. Make sure and stay tuned for more racing here in the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty Motorsports.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park here on Podium Esports. We're getting ready to watch the sport class here for the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. And if we take a look at the championship after our first round, of course, for this sport class, Aaron Nations is up at the top of it. A few bonus points, of course, can shuffle things up a little bit, but they only get 4 bonus points for the clean races, which last time may have been a little bit easier as opposed to what we have witnessed here today with the challenge class. But that'll make it all the more important, potentially, the championship with Del Toro, Binkley, Florian Harris all giving chase, and down to 10th place. There is all of about 40 points roughly separating P1 to P10. So let's see how that shakes out after today. DJ, we've got the drivers with maybe a little bit more skill, a little bit more experience coming out here for this one. Do you foresee hopefully a little bit less chaos on this one?
Well, Joe, I hope for a little bit less chaos, but Barber is a track of nothing but chaos, as we see some drivers having a little bit of offs there. And unfortunately, I think as the skill level goes up here in the series of the PCA, we're going to have to see drivers being a little bit more aggressive to make those moves. We talked about how tricky it can be to get by around here. So I think where some blips and bobbles last time out may have been what caused a lot of the offs, I think this time we may see a little bit more aggressive driving from these drivers as they know just how hard it is to get by.
Here we see Ben Fong, one of our onboards. And, well, that's not really the way you go around this track. So we head over to Sarumi instead across the line. We're in the midst of warm-up. They've already finished the qualifying, so we'll get to that grid order here in a moment. But in the meantime, we're watching them continue on through practice. And so far, for what it's worth, Carl Boccieri is our quickest here in the sport class in this little warm-up. Not much time to set lap, so it's not going to mean a whole lot. And we'll touch on that in a moment. I think it sounds like we might have a sponsor read-through here. It's waiting for... Yep, it looks like we're time to go to that because the sport class is brought to you by Pirelli. Pirelli was founded in Milan in 1872 and is a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is among the world's major producers of tires and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find out more about Pirelli at Pirelli.com. Big thanks to them for sponsoring this series. Looks like they're getting ready to advance us over as we now look through our starting grid. Aaron Nations on the pole for this one. Carl Boccieri certainly looks quick. He'll be one to watch out for in that number 80. Thomas Doherty starts from P3, and Jean-Francois Saint-Amour will be 4th. Villeneuve will be in P5. Richard Edge to his outside. Federico Del Toro starts from 7th. Then it's Lanre Sarumi in the 8th position. Arne Clayson will start from 9th, and Avijit Barua will be 10th.
In 11th, it's Keith Morgan, followed by Volker Krebs with Will Manjoya in 13th and Jeff Williams in 14th. Peter Yerxa will be 15th, followed by Antonio Da Silva and Robert Walton behind him. Trey Davis starts off 18th with Dean Chapman and Val Asenio rounding out your top 20.
In 21st position, it's going to be Andre Castella. You've got Adam Gerling starting from P22. Thomas Crane on the inside of the next row with Adam Holland to his outside. Ronald Simone in 25th is followed by Ben Fong in the 26th spot. Stephen Bukowski starts from 27th. Legault in 28th, and then it's Mark Harris in 29th. 30th and 31st will be Hillman and Bob Moore. We wait for them to take off from the grid. And I think as we wait for that, we have a driver's spotlight here today with Taylor.
Yes, we do. It's going to be Ben Lueng starting in that 5th position. Ben, of course, from the Upper Canada region. Been in the series for about since Series 6 and picked up 2 podiums last season. So a strong running, looking to see if he can improve upon that and make some major gains when it comes to racing in the PCA, and you see that Brumos Porsche livery on that 911 GT3R. Well, the reason why, he is a big Hurley Haywood fan, of course, and we'll have a little trivia regarding some major Porsche players when it comes to racing and driving here at Barber Motorsports Park later in the show.
Absolutely. Up and around for our pace lap. Well, we got some time for this, actually. I have a good one that I think would make Rachel proud. One of my favorite stories from Barber Motorsports Park as we watch from Fong's onboard here is one of the IndyCar races once had one of the American Idol singers on to sing the national anthem, and they interviewed him briefly in the commentator's booth during the race, and the singer mistakenly referred to it as Formula One instead of IndyCar, and the commentators just kind of casually moved on there, and without missing a beat, as soon as the singer left, he just said, well, you can't blame him. Of course, this is IndyCar. I don't expect a rap artist such as him to know what he's talking about for this one. So just that one always stuck with me as one of those really biting moments here that you can get sometimes as we watch them now come along the backside of the course.
I'm just trying to clarify here. You don't want me to sing the anthem, do you?
You can try if you want to.
No, I'm perfectly fine, because I know I will butcher it almost as bad as most of the people that sing it at NASCAR and IndyCar races. I was like, oh boy, there's been some brilliant renditions there. Well, some of those renditions have been more effective than the Redcoats, but I won't touch on that one. It's a great track, though, and well, we could be pretty positive this is not Formula One, and I'm almost certain it's not IndyCar, so we should be okay.
I think we can all recognize what series we're watching, thankfully. But yes, yeah, I had someone once say, you do commentary, certainly you've got a great singing voice, and I was just like, ho, 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 you sweet summer child. It does not mean a thing whether you can commentate, but it does mean we're going to get to see some fun action on track as the number 9 of Air Nations has control of the fields. Here in Podium Esports, it's the sport class for the PCA Sim Racing Series, Series 7, excuse me. And Air Nations is off as Carl Bocelli gets into line. This is a little bit more organized, but we do have a challenge for second, much like last time as Doherty tries to get to the inside. That one doesn't work behind them. No spins through that first corner. We are clean to the Alabama roller coaster.
We are indeed. I saw Valesino having a little bit of an off out into the grass, but able to keep everything on together. And outside of that, all 30 cars out here today. Looks like they've got through the Alabama roller coaster nice and easy. But up for second place, Doherty continuing to try to challenge a little bit on Bocelli the best that they can. Some side-by-side action there in the back going through Charlotte's Web.
Oh, the 16 of Barua and Keith Morgan have both had offs out of turn 4. They're both able to get them going. I'm not sure what happened. We'll send Rachel and Taylor down to try and figure out what went on as there's a big spin coming down through Museum Corner, a car facing backwards. I think that was Arnie.
It is indeed Arnie Clausen.
And he's already on the radio to the stewards on that one, so he had to have had some help. I think Rachel had some eyes on that. Rachel, what happened?
I did indeed. It was in the rundown to that section of 789, and Arn was running in there, and it was a little contact from inside the 27 machine there of Federico Del Toro. Well, it's not really a two-wide corner, and he drifts out from the apex, clips on, and turns him around. So one of those racing moments, but it upset his corner too, so it wasn't quite even.
Oh, in stark contrast, we got single car incidents all over the place for this one. Will Mungia and the 907 is around. Looks like he's joined by Val Asensio. So she's unfortunately, well, still facing the pit wall. Let's hope she can get the thing backed up and rolling again. And yeah, now she is able to get moving as Thomas Doherty, sitting in third place, having started this race from that spot, is still on the attack with Bocelli, in fact, trying to stick his nose in, and that fails.
And that may open up a little bit of an opportunity for an attack for Jean-Francois Saint-Amour behind, as that really checked up Doherty going down through Museum Corner.
Yeah, so all that time was lost. Up until that point, it looked like he might have something for the 80 along the backstretch. Are we finally calming down for a moment here It certainly looks like it. One driver actually started from pit lane. Dean Chapman seems to have had the right idea because he's already up to 27th from 30th.
Indeed, working his way up there. You can see him on your screen as he comes around in at that lime green machine. But we jump back here to Doherty, as I think Del Toro is getting a penalty right now, but he'll be heading on through the pits. But as we said, Doherty working his way there. Whoa, great under the brakes going into turn 2, Joe.
Thomas is on it today as we keep this on screen. I do believe Taylor has information on what's going on with Del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro did have to suffer a penalty for an orange zone violation, which means he caused an incident in that area of the orange zone at the starting of the race in preventing or causing an incident to where he had to come down and serve it. So unfortunate for Federico Del Toro. He will have to work his way back up through the field this early on. So he will work his way, but still a long way to go for him.
Hopping on board with Doherty once again, watching along the bottom part of the circuit here. Here's where it gets very low in elevation. Taking a lot of those curves, almost a little too much, as it thought for a second he got into the grass.
I thought he did too, Joe. That rear end of the car for Thomas just seeming like it wanted to step out coming through turn 15, or turn 11 rather, but able to gather it back under him. That car really looking like it is driving on edge, which means it is dangerously quick, but also dangerously hard to control. Jumping back here, as this is Ben Fong, one of our onboard drivers, as he makes his way through that same chicane complex.
You can see quite a bit of a collection of cars in front of him. That's a good battle there that's starting to ensue. That's Arnie Clayson, Barua, Fong, Crane, and Harris. Of course, Vijit in the number 16 is having to tread water back to the surface. The avid scuba diver, unfortunately, having to put that trade to use.
Yeah, a little bit as we watch the 59 there continue to go around the circuit right now. Trailing in behind, this is that battle for P2 yet again. You know, I really have to say here, I think Doherty's got a little bit better on the brakes, but it's costing him right now. He's losing speed at corner exit, even though he's able to dive that 59 Porsche in there a lot later.
They've also got Richard Edge back there. You can see just in the distance, that little blue speck is the number 30. Oh, and a big mistake. Second place car is off the track and into the wall. Carl Boccieri is going to have to try and get some damage repaired, I think, as he turns it back around, back to the pavement. But Doherty gets P2 on a silver platter.
Well, Joe, we saw it in the last race. This is a track that will catch you out if you are not ready for it. You constantly have to be on your guard around Barber. Every single corner can grab you and take you out if you are not careful.
Don't forget about Richard Edge back there, still not giving up hope. And as I thought there was a pass behind him, that was a lap car actually letting drivers through. Down into Charlotte's Web once again. There is a bit of a fight forming. This is the green number 11 of Lanray Sarumi chasing down Jean-Francois Saint-Amour.
Yeah, remember, Saint-Amour was up in third a little bit earlier, but he has fallen back here at this point, and it's brought him back into a three-way scrap with Sarumi and Pen Leong right now as they go down through Museum Corner. Leong has been hounding Sarumi for these past couple of laps, and I think now that Saint-Amour looks like he's got a bad run off the corner, goes to try to cover off Sarumi. Sarumi's thinking about maybe making a move down into the chicanes, but thinks better of it. May have a little bit of a chance down into 12 and 13 here, but not close enough for that 11 machine.
We've got Taylor down at the 11 pits with some info on them. Taylor?
Yeah, Lanray Sarumi has been involved with PCA for about 2 years now. In fact, his best finish in the championship was in the rookie class. He finished third in 2020. Favorite Porsche is, of course, the 997 C4S, and until he was about 17 years of age, he was actually born and living in Nigeria. So we appreciate some of the international flair that we get to see in the PCA as he works his way through. But Lanray has been a long-time competitor, of course, from the Chicago region, and Zone 13 has been a well-known competitor in PCA competition for the past few seasons and put strong performances up.
Always jealous of those who've had those very worldly experiences to get to see what it has in store. A little wide there from St. Amour in the 31, but still nothing offered up for the 11 car as we come over to the battle for 8th instead. Williams all over the gearbox of Krebs.
Indeed he is. Gets a good run there out of Charlotte's Web. And again, we're thinking about trying to take that move down into the museum corner, but not able to do it. That's such a tricky area to get that pass done into. This is building up a little bit of a train, though. You can see Yerxa right behind there in P9 as we ride on the hood of Robert Walton right now, looking ahead.
I gotta admit, my wife would really love that livery because she loves gummy bears. So those Haribo logos would certainly make her happy with the 17 of Krebs. Once again, trying to pull away and doing a good job there through turn 13. Jeff Williams had no answer. Now getting close to the back of him, Peter Yerxa.
Yeah, Yerxa there trying to take a little bit of an alternate line through 15, 16, pretty much a one-line corner. As Taylor, I think you've got some information on Peter Yerxa.
We certainly do. Peter Yerxa has been a long-standing competitor in the PCA from the Down East region. Of course, some of his best competitive runs have been some top 10s and top 5 finishes in his respective classes in the PCA competition. And of course, even though he does love racing and driving Porsche, his daily driver is a 65 C10 Chevy pickup. But for the most part, a longtime competitor, has always had those top 10 fun races. And watching him for the first time competing when I started calling the PCA was always exciting because he always puts those good finishes and consistent runs, kind of similar to one of our pro class drivers, Leif Peterson.
Peter going a little bit wide, though. Walton cutting underneath in the 1 car, and he is going to snatch that 9th place away. Next up on the list is Jeff Williams. And that move from Walton promotes him up. Looks like now 8 positions from the start. So this has been a steady climb as we come back to Arnie once again in the 18th spot.
Yeah, Arnie here working his way forward. Adam Holland right in front of him now. So you can see that big train of cars starting to form a little bit. This is a little bit of what we kind of expected, Joe. I was about to say it's harder to pass, but that's clearly not the case going into turns 12 and 13.
Wheel to wheel around turn 15 and now into 16. That bright green car of Holland unfortunately falling well back of Arnie. And here comes Benjamin Fong ready to take advantage up to turn 1. This is a quick, surprisingly quick left-hander. But later on the brakes, Benjamin Fong is going to be able to slip into 18th. Will it be 3 positions down potentially for Adam Holland? Around to the inside. Avajit looks like he's got it.
Does indeed. That was just a gutsy push forward. Oh, and a little bit of contact off into the grass. There goes, I believe that's Chapman off there, but able to hold it back, keeps his foot in it, and he keeps going.
Yeah, Chapman is going to be able to get turned around, but it was a pretty big hit into the Armco. So that separates what was a close fight just inside of the top 20 spots. This orange machine is Ben Fong, who is now up into 18th spot, being followed by Barua, who started in 10th, so could still be pace inside that red and black machine as we come back to Surumi.
Indeed, and Surumi here trying to still chase down Jean-Francois Saint-Amour right ahead of him in that orange and black Porsche. You can see closing in a little bit, a narrower line there for Surumi going through turns 2 and 3.
Back to Ben once again in 6th place, just holding on to the back of Surumi, along with Jean-Francois Saint-Amour. Ooh, that was a bad exit for the 31. So the 11 starts sizing him up, but doesn't poke his nose out.
No, doesn't quite do it. I'm getting the sense here that Lanre Surumi is really just trying to figure out exactly what Jean-Francois Saint-Amour is doing ahead of him, just figuring out what the patterns are for the cars. Not a lot of pushing, it's just a lot of following in the tire tracks and kind of making a mental note. See where the driver likes to go wide, see where the driver likes to take a bit of an alternate line, and then pressing your advantage through those parts.
In 13th, Mark Harris has got a challenge on Adam Gerling, who had an off a little bit earlier. Ooh, and that was a bad exit coming out of 11 up into 12. Harris wants to push the issue and pushes him aside, so Gerling now falls to P13 as Harris gets into the top dozen.
Yeah, getting his elbows out there a little bit is Mark Harris, but starting to push. Now we ride on board with Trey Davis back in 14th. That's Adam Gerling right ahead of him. Had a little bit of a look going into turn 15, but that is going to be Gerling able to pull away a little bit on the straight.
Back to Ben once again. This trio has been just tantalizing us with a potential pass. And looks like Jean-Francois has finally put his arms out and has held back Lonray, so that the 11 doesn't have a chance to attack here into some of these heavier braking zones. Speaking of which, braking into Museum Corner. Villeneuve not able to gain the time that he wants. Instead, it looks like Lonray is the one that is got some speed through that diving triple apexer.
Yeah, really sending it down there, seeing what they've got. Riding on board with Yerxa right now is that battle up ahead, still continuing to rage on. Walton, Williams, and Krebs all just running line astern here at this point.
Love that beautiful chrome martini livery that we've got here as it glints under the sun here in Alabama. Middle of the day here, so it's pretty hot temperatures on the track surface. Could be why we've been seeing so many drivers struggling out there on top of the difficulties of this track. And back to that Brumos liveried number 290, still trailing behind and still unable to really have a go at Lonray the way he wants to.
Yeah, we've seen both of those drivers chasing Surumi and Leong just ebbing and flowing back and forth on their respective attackees. You can see there Surumi losing a little bit of time coming out of Charlotte's Web. This is really what I expected here, Joe. This is a battle of strategy, a battle of mental fortitude, just seeing who is able to stick in it the longest and minimize mistakes. So this is what I expect around Barber.
Exactly. And someone falling down, Peter Yerxa, I think, the 54. Oh, there was an incident between himself, Boccieri, and Mark Harris. This happened not too long ago into Charlotte's Web. A lot of cars had to go the long way around a bunch of halted vehicles. Not sure if we got the replay on that one as we now head back to the orange machine. It was Mark Harris, Boccieri, and I forgot the third person. I think Peter Yerxa involved in that one. Here we go.
So that's Yerxa there in the 54. Oh,
looked like a little help.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a hello in the back there, and everybody just checking up. I think those cars were able to avoid damage, but certainly ruining a little bit of their races here.
And definitely ruined Boccieri's because he's now in pit lane. It looks like he's heading for his stall, so I think he's going to get some damage repaired. Watching Fong with his triple screen setup. Look at how much he's almost leaning into the corner. You like to talk about that a lot, DJ, where you forget that you're not driving a real car and your body just does what it wants to do or would do in a real one.
Yeah, it's sort of the iRacer's lean is what we like to call it. You just naturally go with that flow, and especially with the triple monitor setup like that Ben has here. It's very, very easy to get into that mentality. But as we see here, I also love about this, you can just see him having to look through the corners. Look how far to the right he's looking as he comes through Museum Corner, looking through those apexes. That is the sign of a driver that is completely focused in and knows exactly what he needs to do.
Unfortunately, a little bit down the order still, though, is Ben Fong, sitting in 18th. He is up a number of spots, about 8 of them currently, so it's been a net gain. We come back to Jeff Williams. Jeff Williams also up 6 spots from 14th himself here in that 517 machine, about half a second back from Volker Krebs, making sure to keep him honest.
Yeah, and he's got about a second up the road from Robert Walton, so he's got some time here to be able to press an attack if he wants to. Little bit of a wider line there for him. I don't think that's going to help him all that much, and indeed, you see as they start to accelerate out of Charlotte's Web, looks like he's lost a couple of tenths. Ooh, here comes Arne Clausen going down into that same corner, down to the inside, and able to make a move.
And Andre Castella takes it off the corner, trying to cut back. He had to defend from Avigit behind, but Barua wasn't able to really get fully past. So that is going to give a nice little 15th place to the 2-4-2. Meanwhile, we've got Rachel down in pit lane with some information.
Yeah, so far, of course, we've seen a number of cars have to come down pit road here. Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a messy one, but not quite as bad as the first race here. The guys have actually kept themselves in pretty good order. We've seen some big movement, though, as some guys have come all the way back. Of course, we know Boccieri had an incident early on, and Klaassen also has lost positions he's trying to regain. But some big movers, of course, include Adam Gerling up 12 places right now. And we also have 17 places for Mark Harris, so some big work already. No, make that 18.
Nice stuff there. As we watch some drivers spin a little bit wide, as Yurtsa's sizing up to Silva now. Oh, and going underneath Mark Harris, getting a spot from Gerling, who's maybe a little bit too tepid there. No defense, in fact, already lets by De Silva as well, down into the Charlotte's Web hairpin, and oh, a lot of wheel spin. Could we go 3 wide potentially? Because here comes Peter. He could get a 2-for-1 situation. One is through. Ahead of him, Antonio, just a little too far ahead, but it looks like Peter will still snag 12th place, as behind them, Trey Davis thought he could get involved, but backs out.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little bit of a hold up there, and you can see what that did there to Peter Yurza. He was right up behind and then had to back off a little bit. That cost him a couple of tenths. Now, he is closer here. They've been able to clear some of those slower cars courtesy of that, and now they're closing in on Mark Harris ahead of them less than a second. So Yurza very heads up there to be able to make that play all work out, and that's exactly the kind of thing that I was talking about, just taking advantage of a driver's mistake and forcing them into that mistake as well.
Watching from Hillman here in 18th position. 25 car up from 30th. Certainly enjoying his race here today. See them plunge across the crest into turn 1. He's just behind a huge gaggle. Fong, Avigit. I see Arnie in there. Trey Davis, Adam Gerling as well. We jump across the way now to Jeff Williams, and now back to Avigit as well. And we like Williams' nice black and yellow car, trying to chase down Volker Krebs.
And remember, we were watching this battle before. Robert Walton behind them, able to close that gap down by about 0.3 of a second. So a little bit of holdup going on here for Jeff Williams. I think he knows that, and he has got to get a move on. And Taylor, I think you've got some information here on the driver of the 517.
Looks like we'll have to bang on the headset of Taylor there for a second, as it's malfunctioning once again. 517 still giving chase of the 17. Oh, but a little bit of look behind him from Walton. I think we got Taylor ready now.
Yes, indeed we do. In fact, one of the things about Jeff Williams was he actually competed with several other members of the PCA over the weekend at the iRacing Petit Le Mans, and started 17th in a 19-car field of GT3 cars. They ended up finishing P2, which is second position in that event. A great effort for them to come out on top with a podium finish at Petit Le Mans this past weekend. But Jeff Williams, a longtime competitor of the PCA, been in the series for about 2.5 years and is an onboard guide to helping new drivers with the PCA. Is his biggest accomplishment and goal when it comes to racing here. Of course, the 517 is his motocross number that he uses in motorcycle racing. And when he does occasionally do get behind the wheel of the car, he likes to wear a helmet liner with his VR head strap, so that way it can help keep his hair at the center part.
Indeed. Love those little tidbits of what people do to make themselves comfortable, because everybody's kind of got their own thing in their sim rig. You wouldn't think that you'd need that, but it is such a unique esport. As I think we've hit the halfway mark in this race, which means it's time to bring you the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Pirelli. Pirelli was founded in Milan in 1872 and is a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production, excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is among the world's major producers of tires and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find more about Pirelli at Pirelli.com. Rachel?
Thank you very much. Well, we go for our rundown now. Our nations of the Maverick region. Texas is out front here in the sport class. The 9 car from zone number 5 started first, is running first. Behind him is Thomas Doherty from the Central Indiana region, a 59 machine of zone 4, up 1 from third place so far. Behind them in third place is Jean-Francois Saint-Amour from the Los Angeles region, zone number 8. That 31 machine is up 1 place from 4th. Ben Lung from the Upper Canada region of zone 1 in the 290 machine there is currently running in 4th place. He's up 1 as well. And Ben Carr, of course, has been quite a good chance to keep watching him so far. One of those guys who's not quite as fashionable. He's running triples, of course, but it does certainly mean his head is less sweaty and he doesn't need a helmet liner. P5 is Lonray Samuri, the Chicago region driver from zone 13, is up from 8th place right now, so move him up 3 spots there. Things going well for the 11 machines so far tonight. Behind them, it is Volker Krebs from the Canada West region, zone 6, out there on the west coast. The 17 machine is putting the work in. He's up 6 places from 12th. 7th is going to be Robert Walton from the Maverick region of zone 5. Car 1 is up from 17th right now, so 10 places gained for him. Biggest mover, well, was about to be our biggest mover till I noticed who's next. Mark Harris is the Connecticut Valley region driver of zone 1, up from 17th to 7th, so actually big movement for him too. Looking now at, actually no, it was 29th to 8th, I do apologise. Peter Yerkser is in the 9th spot there, the 54 car from the Down East region of zone 1. Huge work for him so far, 15th to 9th on the track. 10th place is Antonio De Silva, who is up from 16th to 10th. Metropolitan New York region driver of zone 1 in that 24 machine, putting the thing to some good work. Big movement in the bottom end of our top 10. 11th is the guy I keep wanting to call John Williams, but his name is actually Jeff Williams. He's up from 14th to 11th currently in the Rocky Mountain region driver of zone number 9. Hopefully the force is with him regardless. Avjit Baroa there is in 12th from the Mid-Ohio region of zone 4. 16 car putting some things together, but unfortunately he's down 2 places from starting 10th. Benjamin Fong from the Rice and Delta region, we have his camera set up there. Sorry, it was him, not Ben Lung. As we get to see him looking there into his apex as he comes through the corner, up from 26th to 13th, some huge movement from the 666. 14th is Trey Davis, the First Settlers region zone number 2 driver in the 217. Trey is up from 18th to 14th currently. 15th place is Arne Klaassen. He's had some incidents early on, but Arne is climbing back as he can. Started 9th, currently 15th. The San Diego region driver of zone 8 in that 242 on a big recovery drive. 16th is Andres Castella from the Maverick region of Texas, zone number 5. That 28 machine is up from 21st to 16th, so 6 places gained.
Currently sitting in the 17th position from the Metropolitan New York region is Adam Gerling in car number 248. Adam started in the 22nd spot, has moved up to 17th, so a nice bit of gain for him here in the halfway point of tonight's race. Moving on to 18th position in car 013 in the Hot Tin Racing Porsche That is Dean Chapman, who's working his way through the field right now. Dean started in 19th, has gained 1 spot, and gotta say, he is not a scaredy cat at all as he works his way through the field. 20th is going to be the 907 of it's going to be Keith Morgan in 18th in car 700 from the Central Indiana region as he works his way past some cars that decided to go a little off-roading. 19th from the Peach State region is Will Munguia, who's having a strong run. Will worked his way up inside the top 20 after falling back and starting 13th. Rounding out your top 20 is Andreas Castella, who's back on pit road, so we'll move on to 21st position is Carl Borcheri from the Metropolitan New York region. Started up towards the front row of second place. He is 1 lap down, has a lot of work to do here in the late stages. 22nd is Stephen Bukowski. As we go further back, there he is from the Lone Star region in that Dempsey Proton style paint scheme as he works his way through, having a decent night after starting 27th. 23rd in the 864 from the Mardi Gras region, Tom Crane. Tom having a quiet night for him after being put 1 lap down. Started in 23rd, he has stayed in 23rd. 24th position will be Andrew Hillman from the Sconesland region. Car number 25 started 30th, gained 6 spots since the start of tonight's race. 25th position is Ronald Simon from the Upper Canada region, one of the largest regions represented here in the PCA competition. Quiet night for Ronald as he has started 25th and will so far be running in that 25th position. 26 is Richard Edge from the Peach State region. The Peach State region, one of the founding regions to start PCA Sim Racing here, as they have their own Peach State Region Club Racing Series, and they will continue racing on here as they work their way through into turn 1. Richard started a little further back up the front row towards 6th position. Adam Holland from the Upper Canada region, 27th right now after starting 24th, has lost a few spots and a lap since the start of the race, hoping to improve towards the end. 28th is James Legault, followed by Val Asinzo in 29th, and then Federico Del Toro rounds out your top 30.
This concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Pirelli. Big thank you to them. In the meantime, we've unfortunately had some drivers run into some trouble. I see Vijit Bajira, Ben Fong, and I think Jeff Williams got in a little scuffle in Museum Corner. A couple of them have had to come into pit lane, and even Avijit has unfortunately gotten a black flag out of that. In the meantime, Aaron Nations seems to have a very comfortable lead as Thomas Doherty is a full 11 seconds behind. And considering Aaron Nations took the victory last round, this is looking like this is going to be an excellent start to the season for the 9 car.
Yeah, a real stamp of authority here for Aaron Nations. 2 wildly different tracks and 2 equally dominant performances. We ride on board with them young here. That battle that we were checking out earlier between him and Lanre Surumi, well, it is back on and just keeping on here. The 2 of them still running nose to tail.
So Nations still leads, Doherty second, Surumi way behind in third, and that's the first real close battle we've got between the 11 and the 290 of Ben Leon. But as we watch that one continue on screen, it's time again for a little trivia game with Taylor.
Certainly is. Now, here at Barber Motorsports Park, it is well known for one of the most special things that you can do as being enjoying all things Porsche, and that's the Porsche track experience of Birmingham here at this circuit at Barber Motorsports Park. And a cool thing is, not only do you get the chance to drive Porsches at this track, but get to work with some well-renowned Porsche drivers as well as instructors throughout the course. And there's so many that you can name that as part of the driving instructors for the circuit, but we're going to go after one. He's a 5-time winner at the 24 Hours of Daytona, a 3-time winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, a 2-time winner of the 12 Hours of Sebring, and a Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee. We're asking, who is that driver?
Ooh, I know. Is it the Spider?
You're close. You're close. It could be. I mean, it could have crawled into one of his cars while he was driving it.
8 legs. He should be able to really handle that car.
He should.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. I'm sure we'll see if we get anybody able to help. Oh, another big incident. Volker Krebs, Robert Walton involved. I also see Ben Fong involved again. And once again, it is into Museum Corner and making a miraculous escape if we want a good onboard. Mark Harris did a wonderful job getting on the binders and avoiding all the mess in front of him.
Yeah, Joe, and I was watching this play out. This was the kerfuffle to end all kerfuffles. There you can see him just snaking his way through that museum corner. Just some problems there with back markers. As lucky to get out of that one. As we come back to the action here, Mark Harris just continuing that stomp up through the field, up 23 positions here today.
And poor Robert Walton, his woes get worse. He wrecked on his way into pit lane. You got to practice that pit entry because it is narrow into here, and he just took it in a little too hot. So looks like Harris able to keep going thanks to his quick thinking as we now jump back to the battle for the last step on the podium.
Yeah, and it's that continuous fight that doesn't seem to ever go away. Ben Leong and Lanre Sarumi fighting it out here again as they work their way around Barber. Only about 11 minutes to go left. So they've got to get a move on here for Leong if he wants to be able to move forward.
Yeah, with those 11 minutes left, pressure is indeed on. We watch from the rear wing here of the of the 11 rather, at the 290, down the front stretch, across the start-finish line, which does not exist. That always struck me as one of the weird things about here. Why don't they paint an actual physical start-finish line so we can tell where that thing is when we get those close finishes? We always have to watch and look for the results when it gets down to the wire here, which it could for this battle for P3. The Nigerian-born driver is going to have to hold on that little bit longer to keep Ben from bumping him off the podium.
Yeah, and Ben was able to gain a little bit of time there through Sector 1, able to get that down to about 0.5 of a second as they close down into the braking zone. I think Ben's really starting to put the screws here to Lanre Sarumi. That gap coming down as they now exit out of Museum Corner. He is very, very close behind indeed. Look for maybe a move, thinking about going down into turn 12. If not, this may be a setup for the next lap.
And if you see flashes of a car in that rear view camera, that is simply Boccieri, who is not here for position. He's just riding behind, trying to wait patiently, hoping these two can keep it safe as they come around turn 15. And once again, looking strong in those slower corners. I keep seeing Ben just get right up underneath that rear bumper. If he can make use of that, he could have a good attack.
Yeah, he very well could, but it looks like he just loses a little bit of time off the line. Remember, we talked about a little earlier in the race how strong Ben looked into the corners, but loses a little bit on corner exit as a result. Comes around here through the Alabama roller coaster, and again, losing a little bit. He is closing in, though. That gap now under 0.3 of a second, hovering around 2. A little bit of the draft. Here comes the move from Long. He's thinking about it, and Sarumi's wise to it, going down into Charlotte's Web.
Great defense there. Didn't need to go off the racing line, just shut the door. And unfortunately, that white, red, and blue 290 could not get through. So as and I can see there is quite a bit of damage on the rear wing of the 11. That's certainly not making life easy, I'm sure.
No, it's not, Joe, and it would explain especially why Ben was able to close up so much on that straightaway going into Charlotte's Web. Damage like that, it often does affect top line speed the most. So Ben here probably knows that. He can see that damage out of his front windscreen. Starts to press a little bit of an advantage there going through turns 15. Sarumi has a little bit of a sharper entry into the corner, may have scrubbed some speed, but Ben looked a little bit wiggly coming onto the start-finish straight. That'll cost him a couple of tenths.
Just dipped a wheel into the grass, unfortunately. So that's going to set him back. It's up to 0.5 of a second. Once again, this has become our best battle on the track I will note, though, that I'm not sure if it's the lap traffic like we had with the leader last race, but Doherty's cut it down from 11 seconds to 9.5. So the 59 is trying to do what he can, though it might be too little too late on Aaron Nations.
Yeah, I think that 9.2 second gap may not be attainable here to be able to close in for Doherty. But I have to say, getting a podium here at Barber and keeping all four wheels on the track for the entire time, that is certainly reward enough.
I'm surprised that Boccieri isn't getting closer. Wonder, with no threat from behind, if he's just kind of cruising to the finish himself. And he's 20 seconds back from the 907 car, so he's probably not going to be able to gain anything. We do have some info, though, from Taylor Burris on one of our drivers. Taylor, what's up?
It's the second place driver, Thomas Doherty, who has been in sim racing for quite some period of time, and of course, been a member of the PCA for about 14 years. Of course, one of his best moments was a third place last season in the sports class at Watkins Glen. His favorite Porsche, of course, none other than the legendary 917 Porsche that the famous Steve McQueen has driven. And another thing that he has done is, of course, he has driven at the ring, that's right, the Nurburgring, 3 times in his life.
I'm extremely jealous of that. It's on my bucket list. I want to get to drive on the ring at some point in my life before I die. So 59, certainly having quite the charmed life, but hate to bounce us around too much. I think we've got something from Rachel as well.
Absolutely. Well, we have an interesting fact about Barber. It's a surprisingly short list. Other than being an incredibly well cared for track, Barber seems to really take pride in being the best at everything. Their porta-johns have little privacy screens and they're perfectly clean. No empty oil barrels for them. No, they have proper trash cans everywhere. And the grass is so clean you could have a picnic on it. No mud in sight. But the one thing that makes Barber unique, whilst a lot of American racetracks will have a church tent set up for Sunday races, not for Barber. No, they have a church that is inflatable. You heard it here first, folks. Whilst that might be something that might be more suitable for, let's say, Louisiana, considering, hurricanes and flooding, no, Barber has an inflatable church. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. I'm hoping it has a little inflatable steeple, but they have an inflatable church. And I find that amazing. I mean, that is not just faith, but engineering. And that is so cool.
Maybe instead they have, instead of one of those wavy arm guys, it's a wavy arm Jesus outside, just for everybody.
Oh, from Dogma, Buddy Christ.
There you go. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love it. Yes. If they don't do that, George Barber, you need an inflatable, wavy-armed Buddy Christ to go outside your inflatable church.
I like it.
Let's do this.
Let's start a petition as we continue to watch the 9 lead the way. It's certainly been a party for this man, Aaron Nations. Oh, and the 248 is not having as good of a time. He's off track, and I also saw Antonio De Silva go off. That was Adam Gerling, unfortunately, just finding himself having a slip up through turns 13 and 14. We come back to P4 in the meantime, which is separated and taken some of the drama and some of the air out of our sails.
Yeah, it certainly has. Oh, there you go, Rachel.
I was hoping you would chime in. Go ahead, DJ.
No, I was just going to say part of the reason that this battle has spread out a little bit, Joe, was the fact that Boccieri, we were speculating a little bit on him coasting behind Ben Leong. Well, Boccieri had a little bit enough of that. He moved his way forward and got in front of Ben Leong for about a lap and a half, and that allowed for that 1.3, 1.5 second gap to grow between himself and Lanre Sarumi.
Back to Ben Fong here in that 26th spot. He's actually the last car still driving. He's 2 laps down. This has all gone wrong for the 26 car here today. And let's see, do we have 2 laps to go at the line? It's going to be awful close. Could be 2, could be 3 here for Aaron Nations, because he's coming around turns 15 and 16 just now.
Well, Aaron's fastest laps around here are a 126 or 123 is his fastest. His last lap was 126 with a little bit of lap traffic in the way. So I'm not sure what he's going to shake down to there, Joe.
We're coming down to the wire on another thing. Our trivia has still not been answered. I haven't heard the sirens yet. Taylor, any hints maybe to help the peanut gallery?
Well, let's go take a look at 4th position right quick of Ben Luang, and I'm just going to leave it there. You see that car? We're looking for a driver in that car who does driving instructions for the Porsche driving experience here at this track. If we can't get a winner, then
I've got it.
You got it?
It's Herbie the Love Bug.
Oh, you're so close. So close.
I thought he was going to ruin it, but no.
I thought he was too for a brief second, and then he said,
No, I would not actually do that. No, I'm coming in with dad jokes. Sorry.
No, but it's pretty amazing that we don't have it, and I thought we have some major Porsche fans here tonight.
And Trey Davis is going to be a fan of this track with what is going to be a top 10 finish after starting from 18th on the grid, the first Settlers region. They're down into the first corner. And I got so distracted by my own joke, I had forgot to check to see what the time was when Nations crossed the line. Looks like we're going to get another look at it here in a moment. And yes, this will be the white flag for the 9 car as he comes down.
Yeah, there you can see Barney waving that white flag for our leader, Aaron Nations, as he crosses over the line. And any concern we had about that gap to Thomas Doherty behind him closing in, well, it's back up to about 11 seconds right now, Joe. So I think Aaron Nations has got this fairly well covered. Well, as fairly well covered as you can around Barber.
Nations 11 to 12 seconds. Yeah, full 12 seconds over that number 59 with a whole 20 seconds over Lanre Sarumi. Last time we only had 9 cars finish on the lead lap. Pretty similar to for this one here in the sport class. Keith Morgan is the last one currently in 12th position that is going to see every single lap of this race completed. So down for the final time through Museum Corner, past the motorcycles. Might as well just finish this one on 2 wheels because he doesn't really need a whole lot to try and get to the end of this one. Aaron Nations through the weaving turns 10 and 11, and then once again left and then right through 12 and 13. Taking it nice and steady, not pushing the track limits at all. Look at how much he gave at the corner exit, knowing that he does not have to threaten the safety of that machine. This Porsche is going to go back-to-back on wins as Aaron Nations exits the final corner and wins for Event 2 at Barber Motorsports Park.
That's 2 for 2 for Aaron Nations, the Maverick region driver, doing very well. Ben Leong, however, has been able to catch back up to the back of Lanre Sarumi, and that gap is very, very close. He's going to have one more corner, thinks about poking his nose down to the inside. Sarumi trying to hold on for that podium position the best that he can. They come down to the line, and it's going to be Sarumi by a hair.
Whew. And how about Mark Harris, 29th on the grid, up to 6th place. That is astonishing stuff from him. Had a few other decent runs. De Silva looking at a 9th place here, coming towards the last few corners. And Trey Davis is just ahead of him as he's gone from 18th to 8th himself.
Yeah, it's a good run there for Trey as he comes up. But as we watch these drivers finish, Taylor, I think you've got a winner.
We certainly do. I was starting to get a little bit worried here, just about as nail-biting as that battle for the final step of the podium for that race. But Jacob Geiger got the correct answer. None other than the famous Hurley Haywood is a driving instructor, along with many other well-known names in motorsports. And we may throw a couple of more for the next trivia round next on this past Friday, coming up Friday night.
So the checkered flag waves the last of them home. That'll give us our finishing order here today. And at the top of it, Aaron Nations was dominant ahead of Thomas Doherty in P2. Lanre Sarumi will finish in P3, just barely ahead by about 1/10 of a second over Ben Leung. Jean-Francois Saint-Amour had some battles at first, and then it all kind of fell apart later on. Had to settle for P5. Mark Harris climbing his way through many cars to go from 29th to 6th, was followed by Peter Yerxa in 7th, as Trey Davis was P8. It was Antonio De Silva finishing 9th, as Arnie Claessens went backwards one position to take a top 10.
Coming up through the field was Dean Chapman, who was up 8 spots from his 19th place starting position, followed by Keith Morgan, the last driver on the lead lap. Adam Gerling was 1 lap down, followed by Will Mangia in 14th. Carl Bocelli was in 15th, followed by Robert Walton and Volker Krebs. Abjit Barua was 18th, followed by Richard Edge and Ronald Simeon.
Stephen Bukowski in 21st was the last one lap down. Jeff Williams having to settle for P22 as Tom Crane finished 23rd. Then it's Adam Holland, P24. Castella, I believe, may have been a DNF. I'll have to double check on that, but he was 25th at the end. Fong also one of the last ones running 26th. And then from there, it is all drivers that did not see the checkered flag of our 30 starters on the grid. Let's see who we have up first to talk to here today in our post-race show. We're going to talk to our 3rd place finisher, Lonray Sarumi, in the number 11. And as we get them ready to go and get them mic'd up, again, from 8th to 3rd, so a 5-position gain here for that number 11 car, and had to really play defense there on the last lap. Lonray, congratulations there on the podium. Almost looked like you might not take it home, though. Ben was giving you some serious pressure.
Yeah, I was just trying to make him feel like he could catch up. I was just taking my time, but he never could catch up.
I like that. We were wondering about your car because your livery, we noticed, looks quite familiar and almost similar to the flag of your birth nation. Is that intentional?
It is. I was looking for green, white, green, and I just went to Trading Paint and picked the first one that sort of looked like that. So yeah, that was the intention.
Well, it looks fantastic. So great choice on that. This podium is going to be handy. Do you think you can carry this momentum into the following rounds?
Nope. This is probably the last time you're going to speak to me. So I'm going to get all my shout outs in while I can. So yeah, this is pretty much the best I can do.
Oh, come on. You gotta have some faith in your own abilities. It certainly helped you today. But regardless, we do want to hear those shout outs. Who helped make this happen?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, my kids, I actually bought this rig for them. And the last time they drove on this thing was the first time they drove on this thing, which was the first day I bought it. And I've planted myself on this thing since then. My wife for obviously dragging them away when they decided that it was theirs and not mine. But seriously, I'd like to thank all the members of the PCA, just a fantastic community. The ED drivers, Chris Pies, I mean, just selfless work, just trying to help everybody. It's unbelievable. Never seen anything like this. And I mean, just really proud to be part of this. And of course, you guys, fantastic broadcasting. It looks very, very pro. I'm going to record this and play it back for the rest of the year. And of course, Doug for basically just putting this all together. It's really amazing.
Oh, thank you for the kind words there from our third place finisher, Lonray Sarumi. I would suggest maybe he put it on a video picture frame so he can watch his third place finish over and over. In the meantime, it looks like DJ is caught up with the 59, Thomas Doherty.
Well, Thomas, it was kind of a quiet race out there for you, as much as a quiet race could be around Barber, but just kind of running in a field all to your own there for most of it.
Yeah, that's what it was. The beginning of the race, I just wanted to get through turn one, and it was tight. But the three of us, kind of Carl and Aaron, kind of stayed in line. And then I was catching Carl in the first couple laps and kind of binding it up. I think I tapped him once, so no 0 X's for me this week. I had 2, yeah, that first part was good, and then after that, he went off the track, as you guys saw, and I was like, well, I'll try to catch Aaron, but I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I just worked on maintaining my gap and trying to take it easy and not mess up and try to bring home another second place.
Well, it's 2 for 2 for you, and we're starting to see a little bit of a trend here in the way you are driving it along. Is this, obviously your goal going forward? You want to score as many as possible. We go from the tight, twisty confines of here to the semi-fast, semi-twisty confines of Montreal next. Do you expect more podium success?
I'm certainly going to try. Aaron and I have been pretty close in practice and such. My race pace isn't there. I'll definitely put some practice time in. I like that track. There's definitely more there's opportunity to pass at the end of the hairpin there, and it's definitely a place for people to make mistakes if you pressure them. I'm not one of those people that makes a mistake next week, but I'll certainly try my best.
Well, we'll be watching for you for sure, Thomas. Anybody you'd like to thank for this second podium of the year?
Well, definitely Mimi Doherty again, my wife, for supporting and allowing me to have this obsession. And then I also want to give a shout out to John Clancy from Crestron Electronics. He got a real kick out of seeing his logo on the car, and with 2 second places, I think he needs to help me upgrade my rig even more. So we'll start working on that.
Well, there it is, a little bit of pressure for friend to friend. I love it. That was your second place finisher here today at Barber Motorsports Park, Thomas Doherty. And Taylor, I believe you have caught up with our winner today. It's 2 for 2 for him as well, Aaron Nations.
It certainly is. Aaron, congratulations on going back-to-back here at Barber and at Silverstone. How do you feel about doing this?
Pretty good. Surprised. Didn't expect to start in the season, but so far so good.
So far so good indeed. What's the difference compared to running at Silverstone compared to running here at Barber?
A lot less room for error. It feels like you're driving the car on the edge the whole time. Very, very few passing zones. Very few places you feel safe passing at all. Even lap traffic, it was just kind of tense.
It certainly is. And your thoughts on the PCA? You've been a long-time competitor. Could this be one of the most competitive seasons that we've seen you running in the PCA, or do you think there's something more we could possibly see in the future?
I'm very happy with how things are set up now. I'm just having a lot of fun. This is my second season. I just really enjoy the whole production. I enjoy all the people that are running. Just the kind of the social aspect, meeting all the people, kind of the friendly rivalries. Yeah.
Well, Aaron, before we let you go and celebrate this victory, anything you would like to say or give a shout out to?
Once again, give a shout out to my wife. Let me do this, backing me up. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is Aaron Nations, who is your winner back-to-back here at Barber.
Oh, great stuff from him and Thomas Doherty to both repeat there on the 1-2. But it's going to close us out. And before we go, rather, we, of course, want to give a lot of thank yous, because we'll see you next time back here at Barber Motorsports Park for the club and pro classes. It all kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday, October 8th, live here on Podium Esports. Thank you so much to our title sponsor, Hagerty, as well as the series sponsors, Z1 Dashboard and Pirelli. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, DJ, Taylor, Rachel, Brian, Eric, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, James Pike, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scaramuza, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing presented by Hagerty. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.